Another episode of Storyhive on Location in Victoria with Beats, Eats, and more! What's up, y'all? I am your host, Kazi, and we are broadcasting live on the unceded ancestral Lekwungen territories. Utmost love, respect, and gratitude to the original stewards, protectors of these lands and waters. That is the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. And today on the show, episode 4 of our chapter in Victoria, I've got the beautiful, the wonderful La Zonida. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Yes. I haven't seen Kazi in way too long.
Yes. For anyone who does not know, La Zonida exists to create community through music, encouraging movement, collective joy, and unique self-expression. She mixes beyond the perceived separation of genres, rejecting the artificial rules and redefining the culture of the dance floor. AKA one of my favorite DJs out here. And we have been blessed to play now 2 parties together.
Yeah.
We first met yet again, Winter Arts Fest 2024. That is how I met all these amazing people in Victoria.
Yes.
Back in February. And I met you through Resonance Collective, actually.
Yeah.
They referred you when I was looking to book a DJ specifically for the main stage that was happening at Winter Arts Fest. And then after that set, I was like, I gotta have you in Van City.
Yeah.
And then it was June of 2024 when I got to curate Public Disco on Granville Island that you came.
That was so fun.
That was so fun.
Was
and
so
I don't
fun.
know if any of us expected it was gonna be so lit with like how many people showed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really ignited the dance floor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. I was very honored to be sharing the stage with so many incredible DJs, including Jamal behind the camera.
Shout outs to Jay Squeezy.
Seriously, like, it was such a fun night and it was such a fun day and there were so many people there. I got there and I just immediately, like, my blood just went cold. I got so scared. I pulled up in the cab and there's people lined up around the block and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I made it and it was so much fun. The backup dancers were incredible. The vibes, like the crowd, there's like cypher after cypher. People were like really like putting their all into it. It was incredible to experience. It was really fun.
That was so good. Oh my gosh. I literally just got taken back to that because only a week and a half ago we had Public Disco again on Granville Island. And this time it was a 2-day event. Yeah. And the second day was curated by our friend, Brenda Ochoa.
Brenda.
Gotta have you on the show, maybe season 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then day 1 was with Afrogeesiac, aka G-Love.
Yeah.
But yeah, today I'm so excited because it's been a while. We get to cook on the show. Yeah. And we were doing that a lot in season 2, having guests over, cooking, talking, chatting, you know, shooting the sugar. And we are taking it back to La Zonida's roots, which is El Salvador, and we're making pupusas.
We're making pupusas with chicharrón that I made.
Ooh, explain to the world what is pupusas and what is chicharrón.
Okay, I have found the easiest way to describe what a pupusa is if you took a normal corn tortilla and you made it like this thick as your hand, stuffed it with meat, cheese, veggies, sometimes refried beans. Sometimes there's like this fun little kind of earthy tasting ingredient called loroco, which you can sometimes get frozen at like different Latino supermarkets and stuff like that. But honestly, like I have had friends who don't eat pork, so I have made salmon chicharrón.
Whoa.
I've made beef chicharrón. So it really is something that, you know, you can mix it up a little bit. But chicharrón itself is pork belly, tomatoes, onions, and then sometimes I add like either like a pasilla or a poblano pepper, and sometimes I add like a jalapeno. It's kind of whatever I have on hand. And you essentially cook it in some water, strain it, add some of the water back, blend it, and it becomes this meat paste.
Hold it up to the camera.
Yeah.
Yum. You know what's interesting in Filipino culture? We have chicharrón too, but the definition is slightly different.
It's different.
It's like pork belly skin or
Yes.
pork skin, and
Yeah.
it's been fried, and then we dip it in like spicy vinegar. Oh, who's this? Who is our special cameo? Say hello to everyone, Tuti. I don't know if you could see her right
You
here.
might not be able to see her, but she does love pupusas.
She heard the word pupusas, was like, hi.
She's like, what's going on in here?
So what is the first step in how you start making your pupusas?
Okay, so the first step is making sure you have all of your ingredients together, because once it starts going, you got to make sure that you have everything you need.
Okay.
One of my tips for people to do shredded cheese is it's easier to put in the pupusa and it's easier to shred if you put it in the freezer first. So take your mozzarella cheese, put it in the freezer for just a few minutes, and then once you take it out, it's going to be a little bit easier to shred.
Perfect.
So then we have our like fine corn flour here. This is just the type that you use to make tortillas. It's already has like a little bit of dehydrated lime and stuff in it, so we don't need to add too much to that.
And is it a white masa or like, because I know there's different kinds that you could buy at the
Yeah,
store.
I usually just use white masa, but it's not going to be the end of the world. If you use yellow corn, it just might be a little bit more sweet. Might change a little bit of the flavor profile. So we have the flour, we have the chicharrón, we have the cheese, and then we also have, this is called curtido. And
I love curtido.
Curtido is like pickled sliced cabbage, onions, jalapenos, and carrots. I made mine with red cabbage because I like pink curtido personally. And it's essentially just like pickled. You add like a tiny bit of oregano to it and just let it sit for a bit.
Oh, it smells
it's
so
really good on top of the pupusas. So the first thing we're gonna do is we add water to our masa. But before you start mixing your masa, easiest to do with your hands, it's best to have all of your ingredients out, because if you get your hands full of masa and then you go around touching everything, you'll be washing dishes for 3 weeks straight. I promise you. I promise you that.
Do you eat your pupusas specifically with salsa roja?
I do sometimes when I have the patience to make it. But for my personal preference, if I had to choose between salsa roja and curtido when it comes to pupusas, I'm going to choose the curtido because I need that crunch, you know?
Yeah,
the crunch.
The
it's
crunch,
just
the vinegary, the bit
yeah,
of spice.
it's tart.
You know, it's cool. On the way here, Jamal was looking up fun facts on pupusas.
Ooh.
And it is like 2,000 plus years old. This, you know, ancestral food comes from the Pipil tribe, which, you know, they're in the what is now known as Honduras and El Salvador region. And it comes from the word pupusawa, which means swollen or stuffed.
Which is perfect.
Which is
That
perfect. And it goes along the lines of, I was saying this on the show yesterday in my interview with House of Al, like, I'm all about them pleasure-filled pockets.
Honestly,
And every culture has one.
every culture has one.
we all collectively, our ancestors collectively just knew. We're like, we put
They
a
had
thing
some
in a
sort
thing.
of like global telepathy.
That is.
Because they said, take the grain, mix it with water, put the meat and the cheese and all the sexy
Yeah.
things inside.
That's it. Carb inside, protein.
Literally.
And we stay alive.
Literally.
And we thrive.
When I quickly describe pupusas to someone, I usually just say it's like, imagine a tortilla if it was stuffed with meat and cheese and then cooked, and then they go, oh. And I'm like, yeah, you still have no idea. You don't even know.
You don't even know the joy. Oh, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. I agree. We can't keep talking about it unless we're
I'm
going to
gonna
walk the
quickly
walk.
wash my hands while you...
Yeah, that's perfect. I am going to shred some more cheese with my frozen mozzarella straight from the freezer.
Ooh, I can help with that if you want to like start showing how we do this.
You know what? Yeah, you're right.
You know, it's an easier thing, especially if you're doing this as like you're cooking with friends over at your house. You're like, give them the simple job, because I think the ratios that you have to do to make the
This is true.
This
is true. I will say, I was once a, I'll shred the cheese person.
I guess when you're making it with family or making it with, whoever's teaching you, it's like they give the kids always the easiest job. Oh, look, that
It's
fits
completely
perfectly
different.
over top.
Yeah. That's why I bought that. You can use the big side also. It might be a little bit easier. So the trick with masa and water is masa flour doesn't have gluten, so you can't overmix it. Mix it with your hands because that's really the only way to like actually get it pretty consistent. You don't want little dry pockets of flour, and you don't want parts that are too watery, otherwise they will fall apart a little bit. And anyways, so I just put some water in here, and I'm just gonna mix it with my hands. You can usually tell, like you can tell that this is already too dry. So I know that I need to add a little bit more water. So I'm just gonna do that.
That's a good note about like, yeah, because I know with flour you can overmix.
Yeah, and people are always scared to do that with masa, but it doesn't have gluten in the same way, so it doesn't stick together the same.
All you gluten-free babies.
Yes.
This is your move.
Yes.
Oh, the
She's here for
cheese.
cleanup. Yeah.
She's here for cleanup.
She's here for the cheese tax.
Aisle 5.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Clean up aisle cheese.
What's your earliest memory of making pupusas? Who taught you?
Oh my gosh. My earliest memory was probably in my abuelita's kitchen, which had a whole wall of those, you know, those mirror tiles with like little gold veins in them that people used to have all over their walls.
No,
Okay.
I don't know. We'll need a reference photo and share it.
Yeah.
But
that kitchen, that is the kitchen that I remember making pupusas. I don't even know how old I would have been.
And you were given shredding cheese job.
Yep. But, excuse me, Chichi. Very quickly, I realized that if you want your pupusa made right, you have to make it yourself.
You couldn't even, like, Abuelita's recipe wasn't the one that was doing it for you?
Yeah, like when I was a kid, something that I think that I'm not allowed to do anymore is opening my pupusa at the edge with the back of a butter knife. My parents used to do that for me because, you know, my fingers were sensitive. The pupusas were too hot to open and fill with curtido, so my parents would just use the back of a butter knife. And they would open it for me, and I would be like, there's not enough cheese on here.
This is for fact.
Literally.
Yeah.
And also because, like, I don't know. What if I make them yummy? Like my abuelita and my stepmom and my mother. And then I don't know, kept making them for a long time, and then moved out and had my own kitchen for the first time, and I went, okay, I'm gonna try this. And it all just kind of came back to me, like riding a bicycle. I couldn't even really remember any of the recipes. I just kind of,
you know, it's
used my
funny
heart.
how much we actually learn and absorb from watching as a kid, and then we actually hold that memory in us.
You're like, where'd that come from?
And it's the same story with so many people when they first move out. They're like, there's this like, I miss home, I want to cook for myself, I want to cook these family recipes, and you're kind of like going off of a mix of A, like memory, cultural memory, but also B, like calling up that relative and being like, what did you do exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember that first moment also with me and wanting to make lumpia, like Filipino spring rolls, and calling my mom and asking her. And you know what's dope is, I might have said this on the show in the past, but like these recipes, family recipes that our parents have made, and like if they're still making it, that means they have just been continuously refining the flavor. Like my mom's like, I add water chestnuts now, I put a little bit of black pepper. Like she just added to the flavor profile, and now it's like,
whatever you say, woman.
You know, like it's like you're 60 now, and you've
done this so many times. You have fed so many people with this.
Yes.
Like filled so many bellies.
Yeah. And the ultimate test, you know, is like how quick those things dash off the plate when they get pulled out at a fam jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the point where she has to hold back you know, hide. And you're like, what's this under the paper towel? She's like, don't touch that. That's for seconds.
Yeah.
You know? Would that be the same case with pupusas?
Pretty much. Jams? Pretty much, yeah. I feel like in a more recent context, my friends and I get together for meals and cookouts and stuff all the time. And there was one summer a couple of years ago that at least every weekend, at least once a weekend, I went over to the house, and they have like a barbecue in a little bit more of a yard than I do. And I used to make chicharrón and pupusas every weekend for like an entire summer. They're gone. Yeah. Like I get them off the pan and they're already gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is no plate to plate the pupusas. There's no such thing as plating the pupusas. Somebody literally comes over to the pan that I'm cooking in and just takes one right out of the pan, and then I'm done cooking them.
Yeah.
And the only 2 pupusas left that I get to eat are the ones that were in the pan at the very end.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, they are gone so quickly. They do take a little bit of time to make. Take it from me, someone who is on Latina time always. The only way you can get away with being real late is show up with pupusas.
AKA yesterday's party. Whoops.
Who, me?
Yeah. Okay, so where are we at with this?
So where we're at is we've got the masa into a nice little ball. So it shouldn't be too soupy, but you can see how kind of, you know, it doesn't look, it's not too dry, it's not too wet.
Get in there and
yeah,
touch it?
please.
Oh, yeah. You know, especially when you're not really using measurements, you have to remember this feeling.
Yeah. But it's also like a really good learning process, because like one of the ways that I relearned how to make pupusas in my adulthood was by experimenting with the dough, because if you make it a little bit too wet, sometimes it won't cook properly. And if you make it too dry, it's the same thing.
It'll fall apart.
And here's the thing. Pupusas, you can get pupusas at a restaurant, for example. There is actually one place in Victoria that has really good pupusas. It's called Sabor Mix.
Ayo.
And it is owned by Latinas from all different countries. Downtown Victoria on Douglas Street, right next to Mexican House of Spice. They have incredible pupusas. But their pupusas are like the professional type, where you use like a fistful of masa and you put all the filling in there, and there are no cracks.
Ooh.
There are no cracks, nothing spilling out. But then, as you're about to see, you don't get all the little melty cheese bits that ooze out of those little cracks. So we want imperfect pupusas, because imperfect pupusas get the crispy cheese.
That's it.
So,
I like the crispy cheese too.
That is the most important part of the
Yeah.
pupusa. So we are not trying to make them perfect. So I'm going to take like, what size is that?
Like a fistful. Like a should I copy
Like, I have
you?
a very small hand, so keep in mind.
Or maybe I let you do it first and then I'll copy you. Okay.
This is, you gotta feel
I'm
it.
getting
You gotta feel it,
thrown
you
right
know?
in here.
Yeah. So what I like to do first, this is probably a little bit weird. Please don't roast me for this.
Yeah.
I like to just kind of squeeze it a little bit, just to make sure there's no dry spots, just to make sure that it's like quite consistent.
Oh, I'm being brought back to childhood Play-Doh fun times.
Yeah. Very nice sensory experience.
Yeah. Slash, even better is the reward and benefit is eating it, because you were not allowed to eat Play-Doh.
Yeah. You could just stick it up your nose like my sister did. I think my mom had to pull it out with tweezers. Okay, we're gonna take a spoon.
Yeah.
And we're gonna scoop the chicharron. We're gonna expose the cheese. Nice. Okay, so at this point, now that I have all of my ingredients and they're ready, now I'm gonna turn on my little comal. You can use any kind of flat pan, it doesn't matter, sorry. If it's cast iron, if it's stainless steel, if it's aluminum, if it's nonstick, it really doesn't matter. I usually like to just like add the tiniest little bit of canola oil, just because I like the outside of mine to be a tiny bit crispy. And depending on the heat and what kind of pan you're using, sometimes it'll stick in a way that makes you want to cry a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do with the dough is you get it into a uniform ball, and then you're going to make the like first fake pupusa. Okay. So you kind of...
What do you mean by that, fake pupusa?
You want to squish it into a flat, round shape that is consistently thick. So you don't want the edges to be too much thinner than the middle. So something like that-ish. So it's like approximately that thick, and it's like fairly consistent all the way around.
Is this too small? What do you think?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just give it one more kind of smush like that. Yeah. And then you center it on your palm, and you kind of curl it into a bit of a ball like this. Like I just went like this, and so now it's a little bit of a ball. So now we're going to fold the edges up just a tiniest bit, make it even more of a bowl.
Ooh.
Now that we've got a bowl, some people like to do the cheese first versus the chicharron. Me personally, I like to do the cheese last, because I find...
You need to put more cheese.
Exactly. Exactly. If you did cheese first, that would you're skimping. Don't
ever
skimp.
done?
Love yourself. With the cheese.
Have you ever done cheese, chicharron cheese?
Oh my god! I think you just broke my brain.
We should try a version where we do that.
That is,
Yeah.
you know, we were colonized by the same people.
Yeah.
That's why our brains
Españoles.
are like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so chicharrón, keep in mind, you can fill it overly full. I would say the maximum amount of like cracks that you want in your pupusa is like half a dozen max.
Yeah.
So if you put too much filling in and your masa little bowl is a little bit too thin, everything goes wrong.
It's done. Okay.
Also, I'm talking too much. The stuff gets a little bit dry.
Oh,
You might need to
yeah.
dip your fingers in here. But
Like
anyways,
in terms of the water.
yeah. So I'm just gonna take this much chicharrón, maybe.
I can hold the bowl for you.
Oh, thank you, baby. Maybe that much? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If it would get out of the spoon.
Yep.
Okay. And then yours.
Oh, this smells good.
So,
Did you blend it?
oh yeah.
Mmm.
I worked that blender.
Okay.
I may have broken that blender, and I've most definitely done that before.
Yeah.
It was my friend Josh's blender. Sorry, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you,
for your
Josh.
sacrifice. Okay, queso?
Yeah, queso.
Like,
And
just put on
press it in there. Yeah, yeah.
Ooh,
More.
More.
Love yourself.
More.
If you ever wonder how much cheese you should be putting in it, just put a little more.
Yeah.
You know, like give yourself a healthy little pinch like that.
Okay,
Healthy
I
little pinch of
clearly did
cheese.
not put enough. I'm gonna go back in for
It's okay.
more.
Yeah, we said beets, eats, and more cheese.
For a reason.
So I can't even see the chicharrón anymore. I'm gonna put even more cheese. Because here's the thing. Once you fill up your little bowl, you take the dough and you pinch the edges together as if you're making a dumpling, roll it out, and then make another pupusa. If you get the cheese pinched in the dough, that's fine. Because now what do you have?
Cheesy dough.
Cheesy dough.
Oh.
So we have bowl, we
Yeah.
have thumb. Thumb squishes to press everything in. We want to be careful when
Not
we
to
get
make
those
cracks.
cracks.
That's
if
what
you
she
have a
means by
crack,
cracks.
here, dip your fingies in here
Okay.
and just kind of pat the outside of your masa a little bit. We want it to stay.
It's okay. Clean up. High five.
She-
She's literally coming
Get it?
over.
She's very well versed. She is my professional Roomba. And I don't even have to charge her on the little dog.
That is what do you mean a Roomba? Oh, is that the name
Isn't that the vacuum?
Oh,
I shouldn't have
never
said that.
I never heard that. No, that's fine. There's no logos. But you can sponsor and send us money. We'll take that.
Honestly, Roomba, if you want to pay for my dog
You know what?
food.
I actually thought we were gonna put a little cap on top. I didn't realize.
You know,
we were
sometimes I
gonna-
do. Sometimes
If you
if
put
I
too much
notice,
cheese.
if I notice that I got real excited with the filling and I do not have enough dough to cover it, sometimes I'll just kind of hold the bowl part in here, and then with this, I'll just like take this and kind of make a little flat part and then use it as a little hat.
Oh my gosh! Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that we have a pupusa ball,
Yeah.
sometimes I like to just kind of feel around because you can tell where the masa is really thin. I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically like if you push your finger into it like that and it doesn't do anything, that's like a good, quarter inch of masa. But if you press it and you feel it cracking or it's too soft, that's the filling right there.
Got it.
So we're gonna get our hands a tiny bit more wet. This is the most important part, to make sure you're dipping your hands in water, because once you start flattening it, it wants to crack the most. So now I have this ball. I'm gonna push with these parts of my hands, and I'm gonna use my thumb on the side to kind of maintain the edge, because the edge is usually what cracks the most. So then as I press it more,
How flat do I want to go?
so you want to go flatter than you think.
So okay, we're continuing.
So like as flat as your hand almost. So make it like
Okay.
basically as flat as possible without
Oh, I see a crack.
everything spilling out. Yeah, and if you see a crack, you can also just like do that exactly. You just kind of like see a crack and you just kind of,
Shape it.
yeah.
Mix it in.
And then you press harder and press harder. And usually what I find is the easiest is if you kind of use this part of your hand and this part of your hand and use that to press, when they meet together, they create like a nice little flat
Pro
part.
tips.
Yeah.
Have you done this before? You're really good at explaining. Like, we've had a past guest before as well. Shout outs to Vanessa Tam, where she was just like Martha Stewart on us. Like, just knew how to explain things. Do you watch a lot of cooking shows?
No.
Really?
No.
Do
I
you
feel
have
like
a past life of explaining things, teaching things?
My mom is an elementary school Spanish teacher.
Maybe that.
Maybe.
You know, like you actually really naturally know how to like break down something, give tips. This is good. This is helpful.
Thank
This is
you.
useful. Now you can all make pupusas at home. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
The one thing I will say is
Ay,
I feel like I have a bit of an unfair advantage. Shaping a pupusa with your hands is something that takes a lot of muscle memory. But that's kind of why, you know, it takes so long to make.
yeah.
So that you have to practice it over and over and over and over and over until 11:30 p.m. and you're crying and all the curtido's gone.
And you're just so hungry.
Exactly. Okay,
Wow.
flat pupusa. This crack, that's okay.
Because it has cheese underneath. I
Yeah.
saw it.
See that little peaky cheese? But if you want, you can just take a little bit of water. Boom.
Boom shakalaka laka.
Gone.
So
Okay.
we have our
We
comal.
have our comal. We have our gas and our heat. My stove is really hot, so don't take this from me. Put your stove for making pupusas on whatever setting you would fry your eggs on. So however hot that is for your stove, I would say start with like just under medium. And then obviously we want to make sure that she's warm and she has like a little bit of oil. I usually just do kind of a tiny little bit. Canola oil or vegetable oil, sunflower oil, it really doesn't matter.
But ones that
I
can take
wouldn't-
higher heat.
Yeah,
medium to high heat.
don't use olive oil.
No. That is, we're not going Italy and El Salvador at the same time, although we love the Italians.
No
Like,
one's
that's-
making pasta here, okay?
Yeah, that's not the vibe.
Respectfully. Extra respectfully because my best friend's Sicilian and I'm actually
Yes.
looking at one of her beautiful artifacts that she brought me from Italy that has a beautiful recipe on it. So
Sasha, I love
Love
it.
you, Mariko.
I love the Italians and I love Italian food, so whatever.
Yes.
That's it.
yes, but today, no olive oil.
No.
So we have our pupusa. This is approximately how thick it is. There's a dog
I'm quite
hair
proud
in
of
there
mine.
because I live with a dog. The one guarantee about cooking in my house. So we've got our pupusas. We are going to put them on a lightly oiled hot griddle. Usually how I check to see if it's hot, and I learned this from my abuelita, is to get your fingers just a little bit. And if it sizzles like that, then we're ready.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm going to put the not cracked side down first.
Okay.
And I'm going to make sure that I put it,
Can we do ours together?
yeah. I'm going to put it down, swirl it around a little bit in the oil.
Okay, put it down,
Yeah.
swirl it around.
Yeah, make sure she's greasy under there.
I could even make her a little bit more
Yeah,
flat.
exactly. And that's the nice thing about them too is that, you know, if you had the superpowers of my abuelita, which included like insanely long nails that were so thick and strong, I just have no idea how she did it.
She ate pupusas.
Probably. Oh my gosh.
The
You're
ancestral
so
diet,
right.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day for breakfast. She also used to eat ketchup on her salad, so maybe that had something to do with it. I have no idea.
Shout out to Abuelita.
Shout out abuelita. But yeah, these are my favorite foods. I don't know if I can say that. Salvadorians have this breakfast that's fried plantains that you
Love
dip
me that.
in refried beans and this crema, which is kind of similar to sour cream, but think of sour cream if it was richer and thicker and like
Yeah.
what whipping cream is to milk is what crema is to sour cream. Does that make sense?
That's a great comparison.
So you can usually also get it at like a Latina store of some sort. And so you dip the fried plantain into the beans, into the crema, and then you usually have it with like eggs, rice, queso fresco, like other stuff like that, avocate, like whatever.
Yum.
So good. Like the smell of fried plantains there's nothing like it. A good ripe plantain, if you want to check for a good ripe plantain, don't check for the squishiness. Check for the squishiness this way. The flex is what you're looking for. If you want a ripe one,
if it's like this, going like that.
Yeah. So if you squish them together and it feels like stiff, it's not great. But if you squish them together and it feels kind of a little squishy,
yeah,
then you might be in luck. You might have to leave it in your cupboard for a day with like inside of a paper bag or something like that to help it, release more gases and ripen more. But also plantains are really nice because they don't have to be perfectly ripe. You can just cut them up, throw them in water, boil them, and then fry them after, and they're beautiful.
Pro tips.
Anyways.
These are pro tips.
Salvadorian food is yummy. Salvadorian food is real yummy. And you can also technically make masa with plantains as well. You can boil them and blend them
in the masa.
And then mix it into the masa.
Oh my gosh, we should do that next time.
Some people make empanadas that way.
Yes.
And then they fill it with like a sort of like creamy kind of custard to make like a sweet empanada. Oh my god. I can't even describe it. Cajeta also.
Yeah, which is like a caramel kind of thing.
It's goat milk caramel. So like if you've had normal caramel, like you don't know anything. You don't know
goat
anything.
is the goat for a reason.
Yeah.
The greatest of all time.
Yeah. It's seriously like, there's nothing like, you've had normal caramel, salted caramel, garbage compared to cajeta. Like it's actually crazy.
Behind this camera right now, we have Jamal just going like, because he's excited. He's
Stomping
excited about the
behind
food.
the
He's
camera.
like, stop talking dirty to me. Like, what is happening here?
Stop talking goat caramel to me.
Question for you.
Yes.
What would be the soundtrack playing for you in this
Making pupusas?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. I think for me right now, in my life right now, I think it would probably be the Kali Uchis Orchideas album. Because it's just so smooth and like sultry, and it's just very like, it's not calming, you know what I mean? But it's really good music to cook to. And Kali Uchis has a beautiful voice. Yes. Absolutely love her. Probably would be the soundtrack.
Was that the album she released pre-COVID, or is that a newer album of hers?
I think it came out a couple of years ago.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, as a person who is like not on the internet at all, I have so many favorite albums from so many artists, but sometimes I feel like I'm not even a real true fan of this artist because apparently they've released like 3 albums since 2010 and I had no idea because I listened to their old albums, you know what I mean?
And we don't consume music in the same way that we did when we were like younger, where like HMV or HMV. We were talking yesterday with Andrew that there was a chain called CD Plus up north where he's from, but it's essentially the same thing where like it was like through HMV or Much Music that we learned about the new music coming out.
Exactly, yes. You know? I didn't have that channel, but my friends did.
In some ways, like in
YouTube
terms
without ads.
Yeah, in some ways it's like so great because you're like, okay, I'm not distracted by all these different kinds of things that are coming out and I can't keep up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's kind of dope because there is so much music being released all the time that you can access.
It's endless.
Yeah, but it's also nice when you could go to a physical place. Like I would go and I would put on the headphones. It's like this album just came out and you get to sample it and hang out there before you decide you were going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know?
The like walking quickly through the mall to go get the CD you've been waiting for and then walking even quicker out of the mall to go home and put it into your little CD player in your bedroom. Like, come on. There is like, streaming has nothing on that. Like, somebody please start like burning CDs again. I need that to happen.
Yeah, except they skip. And that is why it is not my favorite.
That's true.
Or what do you call this? Favorite format.
That's true.
You know, but.
That's very true. You're right.
For nostalgia purposes, it's cute. You know, I had a CD Ghetto Blaster and it used giant D batteries, like 6 of them, and it would last like
that's amazing.
Days. You know, if I played it full blast.
6 D batteries is insane too. That's like a whole like motorcycle battery. Yeah. That's crazy.
Just to power up this like huge player.
Literally.
Now we play everything off like tell me back then that I was gonna do everything on my little phone, my little device.
Tell me back then that I would have a little like pocket-sized YouTube with, you know,
everything on it that you could access.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I was gonna say ads, but maybe I shouldn't.
I think you could say the word ads. It's fine.
YouTube, you have too many ads. I'm so sorry to tell you.
Yeah.
This is awkward. But it's too much. I was trying to get bird feeds. I was trying to get birds to come over to my bird feeder.
Yes.
And I was playing a YouTube video with bird sounds.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it, it just like starts honking off something about some sort of company. You know what I mean? A YouTube ad. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I hope the birds enjoy it. I hope the birds feel marketed too.
I love that you played bird sounds to try to coax them to come. Because like I, in my old house, had an issue with like
too many birds?
The woodpeckers coming.
No.
And so I would do the opposite. I was playing animal sounds that would scare them away.
Like bear
or just
roars
like,
out of your window.
Roars, or like owls. Like the sound of owls, the sound of like other birds that would like detract them. Or just like a low frequency kind of like kind of thing that they don't like. Which is like the stuff that they do.
Just got robot background music to try and get the birds off my roof.
So how do we know when to flip?
That's a good question. One thing I'll say is something I've come across multiple times is often if you're using, like for example, the flame on this stove is not very big, so it doesn't reach all the way to the edges of the pan. But if I turn the heat up, then it's too hot. So for me, what I like to do is when I can see that the inside, you can tell when it starts to dry out. And I'll explain that you can see that it's getting cooked, the masa, because it gets slightly more white and it looks a little bit more dry. And then the stuff that's still wet or uncooked looks a little bit more still like raw dough. I really don't know how to explain it other than
that raw dough.
Literally, if you just look at it, like once it starts cooking, you'll be able to tell. So once the edges, which shouldn't be too thick, otherwise they might not get cooked. Pro tip for when you're squishing down your pupusas. When the edges on the inside, the hottest part of the pan, start to look a little bit dry, before flipping them, I'll usually just turn them around. So that's what I was just doing with these two. So with this one, you can tell that it's getting dry over here on this side, but not this side. So that's why I moved this side closer.
I'm seeing the cheese bubble through the crack. I'm loving it. It's looking like a volcano vibe.
She is bubbling indeed. She bubbles. She really do. So you're going to wait for the edges to like sort of look a little bit cooked. It's also pretty easy to tell as well. Once you slip your spatula under there, you can kind of tell if it's all in one piece or not. You can tell that if you did attempt to flip it, would it fall apart? You know what I mean? And it would fall apart if it was not cooked enough.
Yes.
So we want to make sure
we're going to get this right the first time.
Yes. Because often what I do is if I'm in a rush to make pupusas, I'll put the heat on too high and then I won't flip them in time and then they get a little bit too cooked on one side. Pupusas are kind of like steak. You want to flip them as early as possible so that the crust is even on both sides, but you don't want to flip them too early because they will fall apart. Like the uncooked dough. But this, now that it's cooked, I can lift up the edge of it and it lifts up the whole pupusa. So that tells me that the crust is present. So now with our little bubbling cheese hole, we will just very quickly make sure that we have enough canola oil. I'm just gonna put a little bit on the side.
Dude, you're such a pro. I'm like impressed and stoked.
You're so funny.
Seriously.
So once we've got this under here, I'm going to drag some of the oil over using the pupusa on the spatula.
Oh, yeah.
Like this. And then I'm going to flip it.
Ooh. Get in there, camera. Look at that. That's perfect.
So that, and then the important part here is you can see that these edges here are still a little bit uncooked. So as soon as I flip it, I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to just gently press the edges down into the pan so you can hear them sizzle.
Ooh, sizzle, sizzle for shizzle.
Yeah, and remember, when you have melty cheese on the pan, leave it a little bit extra long.
Yes.
Because you will be so disappointed if you pull it up and it's not crispy, it's just melted. You know, put the work in. Crisp the cheese.
It's
Love
worth
yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself. And if you don't eat meat or cheese, you can make it with like non-dairy stuff. I've made vegan pupusas many times, and it works, and they're yummy. They taste very different, but they are still yummy.
I'm seeing mine evolve.
Yes.
The cracks at the top
Yes.
are happening.
And I
I'm
see
seeing
that
the bubbling of the chicharron
Yes.
with the cheese.
Yes.
Do you think she's ready to flip, or
I feel like
not
I don't
quite
think
yet?
so. Because usually, like, you can see this part on the side is still like a little bit uncooked. We might just need to move this over a little bit. My burners are weird. Don't take advice from me when it comes to
I love
that.
how people learn the peculiarities and particularities of
their own stove.
their gear.
That's why when
Like,
people like, talk about like, oh, just come like cook at my house, I'm like, you don't understand. You don't keep anything in the same place as me. How do
Yeah.
I know if I have to like bring my own like, you know, salsa picante or like something like?
It's true.
How do I know?
The comfortability of cooking from your own kitchen that you have a relationship with.
Exactly. But I also do think that it's a very beautiful form of love to be able to go to someone's house and know where things are in the kitchen. I think that that is really beautiful. And so when I go into someone's kitchen, sometimes I like to just open some things and look around instead of asking. Usually I'll try 5 cupboards. And if after 5 I still can't find it, then I'll ask. But like 5, it's 5.
That's actually low-key one of my superpowers is like
Knowing.
able to go into someone's kitchen and like cook up something, and this is like the very like immigrant thing too, is like what do we have in the fridge, what ingredients, and then just freestyle a meal from what I find and what I see and what condiments exist.
Exactly.
I mean, like, I grew up with my mom doing that with leftovers all the time. Her specialty was omelet. Like, any leftovers became an omelet, and my favorite omelet she would do would be after, like, Thanksgiving, where it would have turkey.
A Thanksgiving omelet?
I know. It would have turkey, it would have the stuffing in it, it would have, like, sometimes the potatoes, and then...
Mashed potatoes in an omelet sounds insane.
That's what I'm saying.
That sounds, oh my gosh.
And then, the best part, my favorite, gravy with the omelet.
Gravy with an omelet? What the heck?
I know.
I never thought about that.
We should do, like, a pop-up resto thing where we're like cooking the ingenuity of our like cultural like inventions.
Yeah, get other like Salvian Filipino people to bring ingredients, and then we just cook with whatever they bring.
That's a good party idea, actually. Everyone bring an ingredient.
Everyone bring an ingredient. I've always said if I was gonna throw a party myself, which like I'm not at that point right now, sorry y'all, but there would be food there. Most likely pupusas, you know. But like there would be food there,
of course,
for the record, because
what kind of party without food?
Literally,
is that?
literally,
No.
literally.
Yeah.
What's a party without hot meat and cheese?
That's
okay. We can see that this one is evolving.
Ooh.
The cracks are cracking big time, and you can
Is it
see
ready
on
to
the
flip
side.
yet?
You can see that it's cooked on the side because it's getting a little bit darker.
Yes. Oh, okay. So we are gonna put a little tiny bit of oil here.
Yeah,
Is that
baby.
enough?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Gorgeous.
And then
Beautiful.
We're gonna lift from here and we're gonna do the drag.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And then we're gonna flip.
Yeah.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Okay, and then press on the edge.
Nice.
And gentle. Love yourself. Love yourself.
Love yourself.
That's
Love
what we
yourself.
speak to the pupusa.
That's what you say to yourself when you squeeze all that cheese out. I love myself. I love myself. I deserve melted, crispy cheese.
Oh my gosh. I'm just upset that I made mine smaller than yours.
That's okay.
So, question for you. Do we not like pre-prep because you want to make them like on the fly? Like as fresh as possible.
Yeah, I think for me, why I have that preference specifically is because the masa dries out so quickly. Like I'll even show you here, since we like started playing with it, you know, it still is damp on the inside, but the outside gets kind of dry and crumbly a little bit. So also just know that if you're making pupusas, and for example, if I was going to go back right now, I'd add a tiny bit of water and remix this because if you have too much water in your masa, you can just kind of like massage it in your hands and get some of that water out. But if you don't have enough water, then your pupusas will crack and be too dry. But I don't like to make a whole bunch and then make them, just because if the masa, even at the edges, even if it dries out just a little bit, sometimes they don't really fry.
Right.
As
so
well.
You want to prep it right before you're about to
Yeah,
put in the pan.
but I do know that you can, I have heard, I've never seen them in person, but I've heard that you can buy like frozen pupusas that you just like throw on a pan, which I'm sure it would probably work better if you froze them as opposed to just kind of stacking them and putting them in the fridge kind of thing. But I've also done that before, where I like will make the pupusas at home and then I bring them somewhere else to fry them. And then I just bring the curtido or salsa roja or whatever I have with me. And yeah, so you can do that. The easiest way to do it is just to use a Ziploc bag and some parchment paper and maybe a couple,
separate them.
Yeah, a couple pieces or one piece of like cardboard or something if you really care about them being super flat. I am kind of I love a messy pupusa, so I'm not gonna lie. Like if it's falling apart,
It's fine. It's all gonna end up in the same
how
place
I like
anyway.
it. Yeah.
This is smelling so good, y'all. Like if only you could take in the aroma. It's I'm smelling the chicharron. I'm smelling the cheese frying, the oil. It feels like home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you, what is your earliest memory or of like building your relationship with music?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I've been kind of thinking about that too, because my relationship with music is so interesting. When I was a kid, my family was big. My hands look disgusting.
Yeah.
My family was big on like lots of church music. So like the cassettes that I grew up with were very spiritual. And so when I got a little bit older and we got our first like home computer that we all shared, I explicitly remember the moment that I figured out how to rename music files so that my mom was thinking I was listening to Christian music. Sorry, Mom. And I was not.
Yeah.
So then, and obviously that was also when, you know, I started to get exposed to YouTube, like Rihanna's Disturbia music video and Russian roulette, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that also my siblings definitely influenced my music tastes quite a bit, because all three of my siblings are older than me, and we all had very different tastes in music growing up. But I do remember listening to the Daft Punk album when it first came out. I remember listening to the Justice album when it first came out. We listened to White Stripes, Green Day, Muse, things like that. And so I remember like hearing that Daft Punk album for the first time, and you know, I didn't really have any point of reference for electronic music of any kind, because I had obviously never heard any of it before.
Right.
And it was very intriguing to me. I started listening to MIA as well.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that album genuinely changed my whole entire life.
MIA is badass.
MIA is like, and for me growing up, like not being able to see like a brown girl role model was, you know, and a brown girl role model who wasn't doing the like mainstream kind of like straight and narrow type thing. Like, man, I was so inspired by MIA when I was a kid.
The production, the sound. Oh, there was a documentary I watched on MIA and learned more about their story, and I was like, man, I always knew you were cool, but now I really understand.
Yeah.
Like, this sound and where it comes from and what she stood for, you know?
Yeah.
Incredible.
And
do you want a plate, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in here, actually. Perfect. There's a plate in here. Yes. MIA was a huge point of source of inspiration for me, for sure. I think that growing up also, one of my siblings was very musical growing up, like playing drums, guitar, piano, sorry.
Did you ever play any instruments?
I took maybe a couple of years of piano lessons when I was a kid. I took 1 year of flute when I was in junior high, and that is it. I greatly considered myself for pretty much my whole life to be not a musical person at all. Like, I just never was really great at playing any instruments. I also didn't really take the time to learn. Yeah. So I just never considered myself very musical. But I felt like I had good taste in music. So when I became friends with Baraka and Mariko, who also have a YouTube channel called Many Chefs Audio Club. And if you want to listen to some good music made by good people, go listen to Many Chefs, because that is the most beautiful thing ever created. It makes me so happy that I can see my friends DJing all the way from Toronto here in Victoria.
Amazing.
So check out Many Chefs Audio Club and Okapi Sound as a beautiful, incredible, amazing DJ.
Yeah.
He convinced me to take my good taste in music and learn how to DJ.
Which was how long ago now?
Which was in 2022.
And how did they know you had good taste? Like, what was it like you playing playlists at a party or something?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I feel like at the house we are just kind of constantly playing music, whether it's like a Spotify album or a playlist someone is streaming through the TV, or like a record. Like my favorite record to listen to at the house is one of my favorite albums of all time is the Brown Sugar album by D'Angelo.
Ah!
So
Voodoo
good.
is my Sunday ritual.
That also, yes.
And that album cover forever.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of turned into like, I'm not going to call it peer pressure, but I never would have DJ'd if it wasn't for Baraka, for the record. And he was like, just try it. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I just tried it. And then I was kind of like, oh, this is fun. This is like an instrument that maybe I could play.
And then it started everything.
And then I was feeling kind of ready to DJ in public for the first time. So me and another one of my good friends, Mariko, who her DJ name is Nziki Danza, she and I did our first open deck together. So the first time we ever DJ'd in public, even like, you know, we didn't even DJ at like, actually we did DJ at a house party once, but I didn't make it very far into the night. Anyways, she and I did an open deck at what used to be called Herman's Upstairs,
which
a
was
venue.
where the after party for Winter Arts Fest was. You played.
That was so fun. I had
so fun.
such a good time doing that. I'm so glad that Kazi invited me. It was such a good time. Yeah. It was such a good time, actually, that my lash was like completely off one of my eyes by the end of the night. It was incredible.
That's when you know it's a good night. Your eyelashes have fallen off.
Yeah.
Okay, so open decks, Herman's Upstairs.
And then Resonance Collective started hiring me for a couple gigs here and there. And so I did a couple things for them, and then felt, you know, somewhat comfortable DJing in public. Someone offered me money to DJ for the first time, so I said, sure, okay. And then some people from Vancouver, namely La Posmo Baby,
Ayo.
Brendocha, and Vinky.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out my Latine family. They were so incredibly kind. Like the first summer that I DJ'd, they invited me to do a gateo show with them. And I, you know, as like a queer Latina living here, like was very excited and honored. And I had never DJ'd in Vancouver before. And everyone was so nice. My first gig in Vancouver was Redgate Arts Society. And it was so fun. I opened for Litany that night. And I actually just went back this year. I saw Litany in Toronto this past year. So that was like kind of a cool full circle moment. Like I met Litany the first time I was DJing in Vancouver, and then, you know, just went to go see her show randomly when I was visiting Toronto, my other DJ friends. So
oh my gosh. When did you go to Toronto? When was that?
I went to Toronto, I have no concept of time. Maybe a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Winter, cold.
Winter.
Oh, but I love Tio. I consider that place having raised me in my 20s.
Aw, yeah.
It was a good chapter, and especially like introduced me to so much
Yeah.
good music.
It definitely felt like the city was like calling to me. Yeah. Not to mention like everyone there was trying to like blackmail me into moving there. Not blackmail, it's not real. Okay, but you hear that sizzle though?
Oh,
let me hold it up to my mic.
Gee.
It's not sizzling anymore, sorry.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm so ready to try this now. Let's move here. I will bring the curtido over.
perfect.
Oh, yum.
And the curtido we can get a
Like
spoon
another-
or something for as
Should
well.
I put it in a smaller kind of bowl or something? So it's a little bit easier.
Sure, a little jar. That's totally fine.
Or, you know,
Yeah,
that way we can see it.
beautiful. And then,
Oh man, y'all, now I'm smelling the combo of both the pupusas and the curtido. Like, I'm hungry.
So for the curtido, all you have to do is just finely slice any kind of cabbage, any kind of onion, oh my gosh, and carrot. Usually I use like the big giant chef carrots just because they're a little bit sweeter, they're a lot easier to shred, and I don't know, they're giant carrots. Like, who doesn't want a giant carrot, you know what I mean? Okay, so we've got some curtido here.
Yum.
You should just rip one right in half. I'm gonna rinse my hands. Get that cheese pull in there.
Oh, it's hot. It's hot.
Oh, it's hot.
It's hot.
Oh, it's hot.
Ow.
So hot. Don't.
I feel like this is my initiation. My fingers are gonna be so
I'm not gonna lie,
calloused
that's like half accurate.
yeah.
You remember when I
It's
was...
hot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use the fork. I'm gonna commit to the initiation process.
What'd you
But
say
we're
about a fork?
It was for the curtido.
Yeah.
We're just gonna,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
just ooh.
My parents used to... So how you're supposed to eat it is you're supposed to open it. But I have, you know, abuelita Salvadorian fingers, so I can like open it like this. But my parents used to take the back of a butter knife and slide it along
The edges.
the edges for me. But check this out. You ready?
Ooh, you get that steam? Oh, crazy.
And now
Oh, yep.
we take this
They should never
curtido.
make that a scent because it will make people hungry all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's the curtido.
She puts it inside. I see. Yum.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm gonna have to follow suit
Yeah.
and do the same to mine.
It is kind of an initiation, I guess. Like,
You know, what I love about this process of cooking is it's slow cooking. And it's really social. It's really like you take your time, you put your love into the food, and then you also get to equally do the same thing in terms of enjoying it.
yeah. And I love eating with my hands. I'm very partial to...
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's how our ancestors ate.
Exactly.
That's what makes
Exactly.
sense. These were
So if
my-
any of y'all see me eating with my hands in public,
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know what to tell you. You will see me eating with my hands in public. Yeah.
So do you just have to do that 24 hours, like overnight?
You gotta do it as long as you want. I'm not. My oldest brother actually ferments it.
Yeah.
So to do it that way,
Takes
somebody's
some
gonna
time.
correct me, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be wrong on this.
Yeah.
But basically, you like put all the sliced cabbage into a bowl, and you like crush it. Like you punch it so much, and you press it, and you just mash it so much that all of the little water-filled cells in the cabbage all break open, and they release that cabbage water essentially. So then eventually, after you punch a bowl of cabbage for a long time, you get like a watery bowl of cabbage, and then you use the cabbage water and a little bit of warm water, and you ferment it on the countertop.
Wow.
But I didn't have the patience for that, so I just made quick
Yeah.
chicharrón.
Still
But
good.
look at these pink beauties.
Bon appetit or buen
provecho.
provecho. That's always my reaction, man. I have to. I can't. It's just authentic.
Man.
Crispy on the outside. The tart, the vinegary from the curtido.
It doesn't taste like pickles, y'all. It's not made with dill. It's made with oregano. It doesn't taste like pickles. It tastes like a dream.
The cheese. The salty savoriness of the chicharron. You know, it's crazy because I actually thought when you said chicharron, I really thought of it like it was going to be crispy, like Filipino style. But this is really good.
That's because this is Salvadorian. Chicharron refers to a meat paste. But if you are from Mexico or the southern part of the United States, used to be Mexico, you might know chicharron as a bag full of crispy pork rinds.
Yeah, exactly. Like what I was
Which-
saying
yeah.
earlier. Filipinos, that's how we did that.
Exactly. But Salvadorian chicharron is a little bit different. We use it to fill things, you know?
This is amazing. I'm so happy. We're gonna definitely cook more of this once we're done this stream. Like, wow. And you were right about the crispy cheese. Like blended into the masa when it's cooked on the comal.
Don't make perfect pupusas. You'll be so sad. Love yourself.
And your imperfections.
And your imperfections. Love yourself and all of the cracks that you have that cheese oozes out of.
Abuelita with the wisdom. Sabaduria. Oh man. Okay, we've been doing some fun things called rapid fire questions while we eat. I got some for you. Outside of music, what inspires your sound? Fashion, film, poetry, landscapes, or ... Rapid fire, quick
I would say
answers.
fashion.
Oh yeah.
I would say fashion. That's my answer.
Who are you inspired by fashion-wise?
No one. I know that sounds really terrible. That sounds really terrible. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I literally don't have the energy to go and look for fashion inspiration. I just see something, I either like it, I love it, or I hate it. That's it.
Period.
It's either ugly or it's coming home with me.
What's something you're listening to right now that might surprise people?
A Xavier Omar album called Moments Spent Loving You. It's very R&B, very like romantic, kind of like whatever. R&B is not exactly my brand in terms of the music I play, but it is the music that I listen to behind the scenes.
Boom shakalaka laka. Is there a particular rhythm, groove, or mood you find yourself coming back to again and again?
I feel like you can answer that question. I'm a party girl. I'm here to turn the party. I'm here to move the bodies. I'm here to make the people sweat. I'm here to bring up the energy in the room. Like, the one thing I keep coming back to is just like, if I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna put on an outfit, do the whole thing, there better be some good music playing. I better have a reason to get real sweaty and go home real tired. Because if you're not going out to do that, why are you going out?
That. Well, you know, pay my respects to DJs, artists.
Also, yeah, people who play
I know.
R&B, love it, love it. Lounge stuff, please continue to do that. It's just not me particularly, but I do love and appreciate it so much. Please just know that.
Do you have any creative rituals before a set, when digging for music, or while building a mix?
Yes. For a set,
She puts on her lashes.
I would say for the week before a set, I will commit multiple evenings to looking through Bandcamp, looking through SoundCloud, looking through the internet with the limited internet skills that I have before a show. My ritual, I would say, is like, yeah, I would say like doing my makeup and choosing my outfit is part of my ritual. I'm a lot more planned when it comes to my makeup and my outfit. My sets are almost always spontaneous, almost always completely in the moment. Honestly, the only time I ever planned a set and played it was the first time I ever did an open deck. First time I ever DJ'd in public, I practiced that set a few times. But since then, I have been basically pulling every single set out of my sleeve. And that is mostly because I am chronically unprepared. But it has forced me to learn how to DJ in a way that's very spontaneous and in a way that's like, oh, this track isn't the same genre, but it's not the end of the world kind of thing, you know?
Playing with dynamics. And arguably, that is part of the art of DJing, is like reading the room.
Yeah.
Building the vibe.
Exactly.
Taking you on a sonic journey, but also like this give and take response, you know? Love it. Who is an artist or collective that's inspiring you right now, whether local or global?
I'm going to say Okapi Sound. OKAPI Sound. On YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Phenomenal DJ, also does the same thing where he very seamlessly blends through genres, and like the party is always going. Like he makes incredible music. He sets the vibe. Like
Is from here? Or
he used to live here. He lives in Toronto now. But he is an incredible DJ, an incredible, like, very much just a vibey person to be around, like a really good person to have performing at your show. He like brings the energy, brings the like super unexpected throwback tracks that you have no idea even like came in that type of sound. It's so different from how you remember it in like a nostalgic kind of sense. It's yeah, he's very like unique and very, very talented with his music.
Outs. One artist you'd drop everything to B2B with, if you would B2B.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so tough. I feel like I want to say either Anna Morgan or maybe Sicaria, maybe Sibby Liv in Philadelphia. Huge fan of Sibby Liv.
Cool.
Yeah, I opened for Anna Morgan actually when she played in Victoria last year. I'm terrible with this. It was probably 2 years ago actually, because it was at Capitol Ballroom. And she is the nicest person ever, plays the best music. Also a fellow shorty like us, so shout out Anna Morgan.
Sweet and petite, and a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
If your sound had a scent, what would it smell like?
Ooh, that's so funny because part of me wants to say sweat. And I know that that's disgusting. Part of me wants to say bubblegum.
Bubblegum sweat.
Bubblegum sweat.
Moving
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Go-to snack after a sweaty set.
Ooh. Pizza. I'm not gonna lie, like the one thing that you can almost always consistently get after your set, pretty much anywhere in Vancouver or Victoria, is pizza. And I usually am too nervous to eat for at least like 4 hours before my set. So by the time I get off the stage, I'm like, someone needs to give me some food right now.
Yes, so many people feel that way with performing. If the dance floor had a spirit animal during your set, what would it be?
What are those things called? That are in front of car dealerships, the like balloon people with the wavy arms.
I don't even know if that's an actual animal, but
It's
that's
not.
who it would be.
Yeah. I think
They do
so.
this. I feel like
Not that I'm encouraging people to dance like that when I'm DJing, like please don't. But just like
But
I think the fact that it's
you naturally want to
consistent.
express yourself, you know, no shade.
I don't know if that's how I want to express myself. I think what that
Not you, others who are want to dance.
Yes. If you want to dance like the balloon person, maybe just do it somewhere that you're just not in the same room as me. Just that. No offense, like do it, you know, in your own time. All the power to you. But I think for me, what I like about that and what that symbolizes for me is the consistency. Is the fact that, you know, the wavy balloon person is on their feet the whole time. Their body's moving the whole time. Even if they're not full max energy, you know what I mean? They're still kind of doing their little thing.
I love that answer as a spirit animal. That is so funny.
It's not an animal.
What's one track you'd play for your ancestors?
I'm trying to think of the least offensive song I know. That's a good question. Probably Missy Elliott Past a Blunt, featuring Timbaland.
Shoutouts, ancestors. If your current music taste were a dish, what's on the plate and how spicy is it? Pupusas! Ra. One item that absolutely has to be in your gig bag, no matter how random.
My eyelash glue.
Yes.
My eyelash glue. I have this one picture of me from one of the gigs I played at Herman's Upstairs. And it's me looking down DJing like this, and this lash is like exiting the building. Like never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And someone took a picture, and like at least 4, maybe 5 of my friends were in the crowd. Nobody told me.
Rude.
Nobody brought me my eyelash glue and said, hey girl, you look dumb. So thanks everybody.
Be a real
Thank
friend.
you so much.
Help your friends out with the eyelash glue.
Just, yeah, someone could have
Yeah.
just ripped it off completely and then problem solved, you know?
At least it's a look with one on, one off
Yeah.
versus half on.
My friend
Out the
told me
building.
that he thought it was funny and that's why he didn't say anything. And I said, oh, okay,
Rude.
perfect. Trying to
Rude.
humble me over here.
We know where you stand now.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Okay, my last question for you on this stream. 3 rules you live by.
Number 1, always drink more water than you think you have to.
Bare facts.
Number 2, make it a rule for yourself that you're not allowed to care or even think about what other people think of you. Make it a rule. Like, you're not allowed to do that. The third thing I think that I would say is the third rule that I live by is no matter how your body feels, always enjoy your food. Even if it's just one little bite and you feel like garbage, just taste it and appreciate what it is for its flavor and complexity and whatever. No matter how much you have to or want to or can or can't eat, just enjoy your food. Even if you're not eating it, even maybe if you're just making it, or maybe you're serving it, or whatever it is, but just enjoy your food.
What does that mean for you to like take that moment to enjoy it, even if you're not fully?
I don't think of food as a commodity. Obviously, I have a lot of privilege being a smaller bodied person, but I think that everyone has their own kind of perspective on what an unhealthy relationship with food looks like. So I think for me personally, if I think of food instead of as being like a chore or something that is exhausting or feels overwhelming, I try to think of food as like almost like a craft, like an enjoyable activity where it's not just I'm consuming this many calories or I'm spending this much time making the food, but really engaging with yourself and with the people around you in order to create food that's a little bit more intentional, food that's made with love in mind and not health, I guess.
Yeah, or like necessity.
Yeah,
or
not
like
focusing.
utilitarian.
Yeah, not focusing too much on like, you know what I mean? Because like if a fitness guru came up and said, oh, like, you know, these pupusas are too many carbs, too much fat, too much cheese, too much meat. You could say that about pretty much anything, but what makes me enjoy the pupusas is the fact that I made them, the fact that I get to share them with Jamal and Kazi, and the fact that it's pink. That's how I enjoyed my food, is I chose red cabbage instead of green. So like, and also do whatever you want. When it comes to cooking, like the more you wing it, the more you experiment, you might make some really gross meals. I've done that before, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Love yourself, put the cheese on your pupusa, let it ooze out the hole, let it get crispy on the pan, and then
You live, you learn. Oh my God, this was so fun.
you love cheese. I know.
Thank you for doing this with us and
Thank
for
you.
sharing like this that comes from your ancestors, that comes from your culture. It was so fun to make this. Now I know how to make pupusas. I'm going to definitely do this on my own at home. Might be doing some video calls with you to double check on some things, but it's been really great to chat with you, to cook with you, and obviously to spend more time. We are going to definitely eat more pupusas after this. Big shout outs to everybody who tuned in on the live stream, who's watching the replay after. This has been La Sonida. Where can they find you upon the internet to find out about your upcoming gigs or mixes or etc. etc.?
Yeah, so I'm on the internet as La Sonida. Sonida is spelled with a Z. And I am technically on Instagram, not super often. I am on SoundCloud, and I am also on Bandcamp. I have 2 shows coming up. So on the 27th, I'm playing a no visa event in Vancouver. And then on the 28th, I am actually headlining a show here in Victoria at the Downbeat.
Ayo.
Yeah. So come and hang out and get sweaty, bring a towel and some water. And, you know, maybe I'll have some pupusas left over. Who knows? Probably not, though.
Well, we love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you have been watching Beats, Eats, and More. More pupusas.